In the past, you've actually talked about how your mother, has some different thoughts on responding to anti-API hate. You've said that she comes from a generation that says you should put your head down, don't speak up, don't make trouble. Something that I think a lot of Asian American Pacific Islander immigrants and their children might, argue or talk about. Can you talk a little bit about that generational divide and how you see it playing out in communities?
Yeah, it's still an argument that rages to this day. Um, and I know um, a lot of Asian Americans in my generation probably experience the same thing, and it's not without argument from my parents' side. I mean, they grew up in a time where it was probably truly life or death. Not to say that it's not now, but uh, we can't discount the experiences that they went through as pioneers to come into a country where they didn't speak the language or didn't look like anybody else. And especially my family landing in Arkansas in the 70s, of all places. For sure, they experienced things that were very difficult. And so, for the safety of themselves and their children, was to avoid trouble um, and for our generation and like what we look at now, or let me back up and just give you kind of like the example of the generation divide in my personal experience was when the January 6th incidents were happening. Lucky Danger pop up was 4 blocks away from the Capitol. And so all I heard were sirens and trying to keep up with what was going on. And we had a sold out set of to go meals going that night. Um, and I'm on a family group chat, and my mom is saying, close the restaurant, return everybody's money, get out of DC as soon as possible. If you run into anybody, hide your face. Don't let them see that you're Asian, so you don't get hurt, and get out back to Virginia. And I understood that, right? Like the important thing is the safety. Um, Whereas my sister, who is 2 years older than me, on that same text thread was, no, screw that. Like, take off your mask, show them your face. Like, now's the time to stand up and fight. And so, I was caught in between that conversation, but it really shows the just the gap that's between us. And it's not that my parents don't believe in what we're doing, because they understand that what we do now and what we fight for now sets the stage for our my children and their grandchildren to not have to deal with what we've dealt with. And it's still not true. Like, my children still deal with biases that they shouldn't at this time, but it just makes the fight that much more important.